Hello everyone. Today's topic would be enterprise structure. Enterprise structure is used for defining the company's operational structure into the SAP instance. An SAP instance is a copy of the SAP application installed in one physical server. So the application that you are using in your company will be normally called as a SAP instance. Now the operational structure of a company is dependent on the kind of business activities carried out in a company. Usually, companies can be divided into three groups based on the type of activities carried out. So you have companies that have manufacturing processes, companies that have trading processes, or companies that do services processes. So based on these types of activities carried out, the internal structure of the company is going to be defined, and based on that structure required for carrying out business activities, the enterprise structure of a company is going to be defined in the SAP system. Now, just like a company has different verticals or processes in order to achieve the objective, the operational structure of a company is also different for each process. Just like that, in the SAP application also, each of the components are used for carrying out activities for a specific process, and the structure required for carrying out the activities in the SAP application is also going to be dependent on the real-time processes. So the structure required for MM-related activities looks something like this. At the very top, you have a company or client. Below that, you have an element called company code. Then below that you have the plant, and below that you have a storage location. And depending on the level at which the elements are maintained, you'll also have additionally purchasing organization, valuation area or level, and controlling area. Now let's understand each of these elements, the definitions of these elements, so that you understand what each of these elements are all about. So the company or client is the highest level of the enterprise structure. However, even though it is the highest level, there is no business or financial activity carried out at this level. This is more like a element holding all the company codes under it together. So in the SAP instance, every element, whatever be the nature of its use, but if you're going to use anything in the SAP system, then it has to be identified with a code or a number. So similarly, this company or client will be identified with a 1 to 6 character alphanumeric code. Alphanumeric code meaning made up of both numbers, alphabet, or a combination of alphabet and numbers, right? The next element is company code. Company code can be defined as the level from where all the business or financial activities are carried out. In the SAP system, it is also defined as the level where the books of accounts are maintained. Now, books of accounts indicate the balance sheets, profit and loss statements, order statements, and all those financial records. The level at which these books of accounts are maintained in the SAP system is what we call as a company code. Now, you may be wondering what is the difference between a company or client and a company code. Let's take an example. The Valiant Group, the parent company, is what we call as the company or client, and in each country the operations which are carried out will be called as the company code. So each country's operations which are handled by a specific entity, that's what we call as a company code. The parent company which controls the overall organizational process or the operations or the activities is what we call as a company or client. So any company that operates in multi-countries, the parent company which governs the overall process, the overall direction, defines the overall direction is what we call as a company or client. And in each country, the operations, the structure is what we call as the company code. Now, each country, the books of accounts are maintained separately. As such, company code is where the books of accounts are also maintained. A plant within the company code is the location where the activities related to the business of the company code are carried out. So any location from where any activity related to the business of that company code are carried out is what we call as a plant. So if it's a manufacturing company, then the location from where all the manufacturing activities, the purchase activities, the sales activities, or even service related activities are carried out, that's what we call as a plant. Similarly, in a trading company, the location from where all the purchase and sales activities are carried out is what we call as a plant. Similarly, in a services company, the location from where all the services are carried out is what we call as a plant. Right? So storage location, it is the element within the plant where all the goods or material required to carry out activities at the plant level are maintained. Since the element is used for maintaining the goods or material, the stock basically required to carry out the activities, storage locations are usually physically located within the plant premises. So store location in the real world we call as a store, right? And usually stores are physically located within the plant, and that's how in the SAP system also we are going to define. Coming to a purchasing organization, this is similar to a purchasing department. However, in the SAP system, a purchasing organization is made responsible for all purchase related activities or information. That means without a purchasing organization, any purchase related activity cannot be carried out in the SAP system. So whenever you require a material or a service to be purchased, it has to go through the purchasing organization. Okay. The next one would be valuation area or level. Whenever a company maintains stock of any material, it normally specifies certain value to indicate how much is that material worth to the company. So this valuation to indicate the worth of the material, the level at which it is going to be maintained, the level at which the material valuation is going to be maintained will be indicated using this element called valuation area or level. In the SAP system, we can maintain it at either company code level or plant level, and most of the time it will be maintained at the plant level because that is where the material stock is maintained. And one very important thing to remember is the assignment of the valuation area or level to either the company code or plant level is only a one-time activity. At the time of installation, we're going to select the indicator level and done. After the application is installed and the users are using the application, at any cost, you cannot change the valuation area indicator. Okay. The last one is controlling area. Now, this is an interesting thing. It is used to capture the value of all the transactions carried out in the company code automatically and update them in the relevant accounting ledgers or the accounting system. Now, in the real time, without an application, whenever you're carrying out any value related transaction or any transaction which has a value, then a copy of the document will be sent to the accounts department so that they can make the relevant entry. So that means the department which is actually carrying out the transaction will make an entry in their own registers, and the accounts department will also be repeating that entry in their own registers. So there is duplication of work getting carried out. Whenever you are automating this type of duplication or repeating the activity twice should not take place. So in order to avoid this duplication of work in the SAP system, a different element called the controlling area will be created and used for capturing the value of the transactions in the company code automatically. Now, since the controlling area is used for capturing the value of all the transactions, it will normally have the same financial structure as the company code because it needs to have the same financial structure. It will be created as a copy of the company code, thereby automatically copying all the financial structure already maintained for the company code. Right, so these are the definitions of the enterprise structure. Let's see how to create and assign or link these elements together so that we have the structure ready for carrying out related activities in the SAP system. The elements of the enterprise structure are all configuration related elements. So the creation and assignment of these elements should take place in the IMG screen. So we need to log into the SAP application, go to SPRO, type in SPRO in the command box, click on SAP reference IMG button, and then we go to enterprise structure. The first one we need to create is the company. So we go to definition, financial accounting, define company. Company is the level where there is no business activity carried out, nor do we maintain any type of financial records. So for practice or even in the real time, we just click on new entries, enter a 1 to 6 character code and description. And in the real time, we enter all these details, the street address, PO box, postal code, city. However, for practice, you only need to enter country, language, and currency. Now, in the SAP system, every field that has a bubble like this against it indicates that the entries to that field are limited to the options already configured in the system. So to check and select from those options, click on this bubble or press the F4 button on your keyboard. Almost all the countries in the world have already been defined in the standard system. So select the country in which you want the company to be located, the parent company is located, or whichever country you want for your practice. Similarly, language. Now, language here indicates the business communication language used by this company for communicating both within the company as well as outside the company. Because of that, there are only very few languages maintained in the standard system. So select the relevant language for communication by this company. Currency indicates the currency of this company. So based on the country, the currency would change, as you understand. So select the relevant currency also. So for your practice, entries for these 5 fields are enough. Once you have entered the details, click on Save. Now clicking on Save in the configuration screen, for the first time in the transaction screen, you will be seeing a pop-up box called the prompt for customizing request. This is also called as a transport request. In the real world, when you're working on a project, each consultant will be assigned their own request number to save the data in their own request number so that it is easy to track what each of the consultants are doing. For your practice, click on this Create Request button, enter a description, violent recorded sessions. Pressing enter, the system will automatically create the request number. Now this is a request number in which we need to save all the configuration activities that we're going to carry out for your course. Clicking on continue will save the creation of this company into that request number. So like this, the request number will ensure that you are saving the data into the relevant database and it is easy to track. So the company is created. Yay. The next one would be to create a company code. So go back to the IMG screen. Again, the same path, enterprise structure, definition, financial accounting, edit, copy, delete, check company code. Click on execute. Double click on copy, delete, check company code. Double click on copy, delete, check company code will open the creation page. Click on the copy as or copy organizational object and the system will start reading from the database. The reason we are going to use the copy process is to ensure that we are able to create all the backend financial structure for the company code that we are going to create. Since will not be able to maintain all the financial structures, that is actually the job of the FICO consultant. During practice, we're going to copy from a standard company code to the company code that we're going to create. Once you get this pop-up in the from company code, click on the bubble or press F4 and select the standard company code, which is 1000. And in the to company code, enter a code for your company code. So here itself, you're going to create that code to identify your company code. Click on continue, and the system will start asking a series of questions. On all these pop-ups, irrespective of the type of question or the data, just click on yes and continue to ensure that all the data is copied automatically. Now the reference company code, the standard company code has the currency euro. If you want to maintain euro for your company code, click on no here. If you don't want euro as the currency, click on yes and change the currency. The rest of the pop-ups, just keep clicking on the continue button to ensure that the data is automatically copied. Now this process will take certain time to be completed. Just wait till that process is completed. Once the process is completed, you get the request number pop-up again. Click on ensure that it is the same and click on continue. So you'll get several pop-ups like this for transport intervals. On everything, click on continue or yes. Only on this small pop-up, click on cancel, and in the next pop-up, click on copy. The rest of the things, you just keep clicking on continue or yes. You will get a lot of pop-ups. The reason is it is copying all the relevant data from the standard company code to the company code that we're going to create. So just keep clicking on continue. At no point except for the small pop-up, at no other point, click on no or cancel. Because if you do that, the copying will not be completed properly and the company code that we're going to create will not have all the relevant backend financial data. And later on, it will cause a lot of issues. So once the copying is completed, you get the copied pop-up confirmation. So we selected 1000 and copied it to VG01, that is the company code that we're going to use. Once you get the copy confirmation, now not only the backend financial data has been copied from 1000 to VG01, but also the name, address, and communication details have also been copied from this particular company code to the new one. So we need to have changed that to indicate the company code details as per our company code. So click on the back button, double click on edit company code data, go to your company code, or just click on position, enter your company code in the pop-up, click on continue, double click on this entry and make the necessary changes. So here I'm going to say company 1, change the city, country, language. Once you have entered these details, click on the address button and update the complete address in the pop-up. When you're entering the details in the pop-up, the only details which are required are the title, name, country, and language. These are the 4 fields which are required for your practice. In the real time, you have to enter all the details, because whenever the company code communicates with any internal or external entity, the details for communication and address will be taken from this script, right? So once you have updated, click on save. You get the request number pop up again. Ensure you are selecting the correct one. Done. Yay, we are done with creating the company code. The next step would be to create the plant. Go back to the IMG screen. Now we go to the same path, enterprise structure, definition. But now we go to logistics general, define, copy, delete, check plant, execute. Double click on define plant in the pop-up. You get a pop-up. Here you double click on define plant, click on new entries, enter a 1 to 4 character code and a description. Now since plant is the level at which activities are carried out, you don't have to copy it from any standard plant. And in this screen, factory calendar is a mandatory field. Factory calendar identifies or is used to maintain the holiday calendar as well as the week offs. For your practice, you have about 38 standard factory calendars. The others that you see have been created by other users in this particular practice server. For your practice, select only one of the 3 standard factory calendars, which is 01 or GB or US. Now, these 3 factory calendars have standard 5-day work week, and holidays and Saturdays and Sundays are considered as optional holidays, so that you can go ahead and carry out your activities, concentrate on the process rather than getting frustrated with the holidays being described as mandatory holidays. So for now, we have selected GB. Click on the address button here and again update the address as discussed earlier. The only fields which are required for your practice is the title, name, country, and language. So enter those values, click on save, and you get the address pop up again for confirmation. Confirm it and save it. Done. Click on the next button and create another plant. So create at least 2 plants for your practice. In the real world, again, it depends on how many plants the client has. You can use the same factory calendar for both the plants or different plants. That's up to you for your practice. I'm just going to use the same thing, same factory calendar for both the plants. Once you're done, come back, exit the screen. Next step would be to create storage location. Again, we go back to the IMG screen, enterprise structure, definition, materials management, maintain storage location. Click on execute. Now, since storage locations are in the real world physically located within the plant. When I click on execute, the system will ask me the plant for which you're going to create the story location. So enter one of the plant codes that we created, click on new entries, enter a 1 to 4 character code and a description. So here you can use any codes to identify the storage location. For your practice, you can enter anything, but the same code should not be repeated within the same plant. Okay. Press enter and click on save. It will ask you for the request number, save it. Go back, again click on execute, enter the second plant and maintain the plant storage location codes. Because I'm creating the storage location for a new plant, I can use the same codes as in the previous plant. But in the description, as you can see, I'm clearly identifying for which plant the storage location is getting created. So if you want, you can also follow the same process for your practice. But like I said, in the real time, it all depends on what is convenient to the end users. Once you're done creating the store locations for both the plants. Yay. Next step would be to create purchasing organization. Now, purchasing organization is the entity which is responsible for all purchase related activities, and the level at which these purchasing organizations are created depends on each country, each company. So based on the business activities carried out in the company, purchasing organizations are maintained at different levels. For our practice, we're going to create the purchasing organization, one at the company code level and one for each of the plants. So go back to the IMG screen, the same path, maintain purchasing organization, click on execute, click on new entries, enter a 1 to 4 character code and a description. To make it easy for me to remember the codes for different students during practice, I tend to use the same codes as for the plant and company code. However, as you can see, in the description, I'm clearly identifying what is the structure description. So with the description, I can understand that it is a purchasing organization rather than company code or plant, right? For your practice, you can also follow the same process or you can give whatever code you want. The only restriction is the code should not have already been created in the system. So because this is a practice server, there will be a lot of codes already defined. So choose a code which is not already existing and you can use it, right? So the next step would be to check the valuation level or valuation area. Go back to the IMG screen, enterprise structure, definition, logistics general, define valuation level. Now, since this is a practice server, the valuation level is already maintained in the system. So when I click on execute here, system will not give me, the application will not give me an option to change the valuation level. It's already defined at the plant level and we get the message, valuation level cannot be maintained, already defined. However, in the real world, when the application is installed for the first time, this screen will be in editable mode and we need to select, it is the consultants need to select the level at which the material valuation is maintained. Again, in the real time also, once the level is maintained and the data, the client data, what we call as legacy data is uploaded into the system, this page, even in the real time, the screen will go into a non-edit mode like you're seeing right now. Since it's a one-time activity, after the installation, once the users start using the application, at no point can this level be changed, right? So for your practice, just check this screen and come out. The last one is for creating the controlling area. So go back to the IMG screen, enterprise structure, definition, controlling, maintain controlling area, click on execute, double click on maintain controlling area, click on new entries. Don't enter the detail directly, rather click on this button called controlling area is equal to company code, which is right next to the code field. When you click on this, it will show me the pop-up to enter the company code. When I enter the code in this pop-up, the details for the controlling area code, name, currency type, currency, chart of accounts, and fiscal year variant. Values for these 6 fields will be automatically copied from the data already maintained for this company code, right? Since we have already maintained the structure for this company code, and since we want this controlling area to handle activities for this company code, since it needs to have the same financial structure as that of this company code, we're going to copy that structure from this company code. So click on enter the company code, click on continue. So this data will be automatically copied. Once it is copied, change the name to indicate that it is a controlling area. And in this assignment control field, select the first option which says controlling area same as company code. So select it, click on save. Done. Yeah, we're done with creating the controlling area also. Yeah, so we're done with creation of the enterprise structure. So the next step would be to assign or link all these structures together, the elements together. So we go back to the IMG screen, enterprise structure, assignment, financial accounting. First one would be to assign the company code to company. Click on execute. All the company codes would be listed here. So go to your company code and enter the relevant code for your company or client. If you don't remember the code, press F4 here and search in the list. Select it and click on save. Done. Next step would be to assign plan to company code. So go to logistics general, assign plan to company code, click on execute, click on new entries, enter the company code and the plant. So in each row, depending on the number of plants in that company code, entries in both the columns have to be there mandatorily. Click on save. So we just linked, assign these plants to this company code. Next step would be to assign the purchasing organization to company code and plans. So go back to assignment, materials management. First step would be to assign purchasing organization to company code. Click on execute. Go to the purchasing organization and enter the relevant company code. Whatever is the code created for your company code, assign it. Click on save. By assigning the company code to the purchasing organizations, we are indicating to the system that this purchasing organization will be responsible for plans only within this company code. If you don't assign a company code like this, then this purchasing organization can be made responsible for any plant under any company code, provided those plans and company codes exist within the same application. Usually, since the SAP application will be installed in one company code, the purchasing organizations will need to be responsible for the plans within that company code. So most of the cases, the company code, the purchasing organization will be assigned to a specific company code. Click on the back button. Second step would be to now specify which purchasing organization is responsible for which plant. So go to assign purchasing organization to plant, execute, click on new entries, enter the purchasing organization and the relevant plant. VG01 I've used to identify the central purchasing organization, so it should handle both the plants. Plant 1 purchasing organization should be responsible for plant 1, plant 2 purchasing organization for plant 2. Enter and save it. Done. Okay, so we are done with linking the purchasing organizations to the plant. And the last step would be to assign the controlling area to the company code. So go to assignment, controlling, assign company code to controlling area, click on execute. You get the list of controlling areas. Go to your controlling area, select it. Now double click on assignment of company codes. Double clicking on it will open the screen. Click on new entries and enter the relevant company code. If you don't remember, if you don't understand which code to enter here, enter the same code as the controlling area over here and save it. And make sure that you're only entering one code for the controlling area, since we indicated this controlling area is going to handle only one company code. And if you make more than one entry here, then the system will not be able to understand which company codes activities have to be handled by this controlling area. Once the assignment is done, when you go back to the assignment screen again, the system will not give you an option for new entries because the company code is already assigned to that controlling area. Yay, we're done with the assignment also. So once the assignment is done, if you want to see the complete structure for the enterprise structure for our company code that we created from the company code level, go to enterprise structure, definition, financial accounting, edit, copy, delete, check company code. Double click on copy, delete, check company code in the pop-up. Click on structure and click on navigation. You get this pop-up. Read this pop-up, the details in the pop-up. Click on continue. Then you'll see the list of all the company codes created in this particular server, this particular application. Click on find, enter your controlling area, and double click on this entry to show you the details. So this company code belongs to this company, has this controlling area, credit control area, plants, and purchasing organizations. When you open the plant company, it will show me only one company code because we have created and assigned only one company code. Similarly, in the controlling area, it will show only one company code. Credit control area, even though we did not create it, it will be automatically created because we copied the structure from the standard company code. So leave it as it is. It has to be created, but just leave it as it is. When you open plant, it will show me the 4 storage locations within it, the company code, and alphabetically the first purchasing organization responsible for this plant. Similarly, the second plant, 4 storage locations, company code, purchase organization. When you open the purchase organization, it should show the company code and the plants which is responsible for it, which it is responsible for. Similarly, plant 1 will be responsible for plant 1. Plant 2 purchase organization will be responsible for plant 2. So all this structure that you see in the screen that I've just shown you, when you create your company code during practice, you also have to see the same thing. Even in the real time, once the elements are assigned, the same thing should be displayed, will be displayed. All right. So this is what the enterprise structure creation and assignment is all about. We are done. Yay. Now, one thing to remember during the creation of the enterprise structure is, except for the company or client, all the other elements, which are company code, plant, storage location, purchasing organization, controlling area, are identified with a 1 to 4 character code. Okay. After the enterprise structure is assigned, very important configuration in the notes, all the paths and the creation is already given for you so that you can follow this particular thing. In the real time, that is when you're working in real world, company code and controlling area will be created and assigned by the FICO consultants. Plants, storage locations, purchasing organizations, and valuation area configuration will be handled by the MM consultants. Okay. Now, each company code, when you're carrying out the activities in that company code, the company, these activities should be allowed to be carried out only for the month in which you're carrying out the transactions. In the real world, when we are working in a company, the company will allow the transactions to be carried out only for the current month, the calendar month. If you try to carry out any activity for any previous month or the next month, your reporting manager is going to ask you why you are carrying it out and will not allow you to carry out any activity for any other month. So similarly, in the SAP system also, the posting period element is used to identify the month of transaction for a specific company code so that activities can be carried out or transactions can be executed only for that month. So once the enterprise structure assignment is completed, it is mandatory that we need to specify the posting period so that activities can be carried out limited, restricted to the month of transaction. Now this posting period is dependent on the financial year followed by a company code. So based on the financial year, the relevant posting period will be assigned to each of the calendar months. As you can understand, since there are 12 calendar months, there will also be 12 posting periods. Let me show you how this posting period works. Now, like I said, posting period is dependent on the financial year followed by the company code. And usually in the real world, there are about 4 financial years which are followed by most of the companies throughout the world. So the first column identifies the posting period for that calendar month. These are the financial years: January to December, April to March, July to June, or October to September. So in case your company code, the client follows the financial year, let's say from October to September, then posting period 1 will correspond to calendar month 10. Posting period 2 will correspond to calendar month 11. So on until posting period 12 will identify calendar month 9 of the next year. Now, just like in any transaction, whenever you specify a date, you also specify the year. Similarly here, when we assign the posting period, the posting year should also be assigned. Now the posting year for every posting period will again depend on the financial year followed and will be the same for all the posting periods as the year for the first month of that financial year. For example, if my client has the financial year October to September, the month I'm in right now is August, so the posting period will be 11, but the year will be the year for the first month of that financial year. Now, since the financial year started in October, which is October of 2017, the posting year will be 2017. So for my client, whose financial year is from October to September, for August 2018, calendar month August, calendar year 2018, the posting period and year will be 11/2017, right? Similarly, for each of these other financial years also, we have to check and assign the similar posting period and posting year. Now, one thing to remember is the company code that we create during practice is copied from a standard company code, and that company code's financial year is from January to December. So the company code that we create during practice will also have the same financial year, which is January to December. Now here for January to December, both the calendar month and posting period, calendar year and the posting year will be the same. So when we are assigning the posting period during practice, it may look as if you are assigning the calendar month and year. However, please remember we are not assigning the calendar year and month. We are assigning the posting year and posting period for that company code. So to assign the posting period, again we go back to the IMG screen, go to Logistics General, Material Master, Basic Settings, Maintain company codes for materials management, click on Execute. You'll see the list of all the company codes here. Click on Position, enter your company code, continue. And here I need to enter the current posting year and the posting period, which is 8. When you press enter, values in these 4 columns will be automatically updated. So what are these other 4 columns are? The first 2 columns identify the last posting period for this company code. So in case you want to make any entry to the last posting period, the system will get that data from these 2 columns. And there are certain financial entries which finance team may want to make in the last year. So that information will be taken from these 2 columns. Okay. And these ABP, DBP columns are used for specifying whether the client allows any back posting, that is posting to the previous period or not. If ABP is checked, then it indicates that as a rule, the client allows posting to the previous period, which is indicated by these 2 columns. Okay. DBP indicates check in the DBP column will indicate that as a rule, the client does not allow any back posting. So if the consultant gets any request when DBP is checked from the users to allow back posting, then it will not be allowed. Okay. If both the columns are not checked like in this company code, then it indicates that the backposting will be conditional based. So if both are not checked and we get a request from the user, that request has to come from a specific level which will be already discussed and identified before at the time of installation. So if the request comes from that person or that level, only then the ABP will be checked and the system will allow posting to the previous period. All right. So this is what, so assigning the posting period will actually end the creation of the enterprise structure, and make sure during practice that you are entering the posting period immediately after the enterprise structure assignment is completed. All right. So this ends the enterprise structure part. The next session, we're going to start the master data part.